This cake is sweet enough. It really does not need this glaze, but it is kind of pretty. Got a nice little peach there. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my peach pound cake. Let's get started. Hello. If you're baking along with me, we're going to preheat the oven to 325. And then I need to prepare my baking pan. I'm just using a regular loaf pan. I've sprayed it with a little cooking spray and then added some parchment paper because we all know I love parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, no problem. Just make sure that your cooking spray gets into all of the corners so the pound cake comes out evenly. I like to use an avocado oil spray. If you're using like Pam, make sure you read the ingredients. Sometimes they add flour for that release factor, and obviously we don't want that. All right, let's get started. To my stand mixer, is it plugged in?
Yes, it did.
To my stand mixer, I'm going to add a half a cup of butter. And of course, I use that term lightly. This is the Voix Life plant-based non-dairy butter. It's about half of a brick here. And I've let this come to room temperature so that it whips up faster for me. I'm gonna turn that on and let it mix a little bit. And I'm going to add 1 cup of regular granulated sugar. I always forget to lock it and then it bounces on me. And I'm going to let that mix until it becomes light and fluffy. It takes about 2 minutes. It is my opinion that the mixing is crucial to the final product, giving it the light, airy texture. Maybe, maybe not, but I always do it. All right. Make sure that's all soft. And then I'm going to add 2 eggs, 1 at a time. So I'm going to add an egg, turn it on, and mix it until the egg is incorporated, then add the second egg. Just waiting to see the egg yolk all mix in there. That looks good. Now I'm going to combine my dry ingredients. A lot of times I don't mix my dry ingredients together before I add them in. This time I'm going to because in this method we're going to add some of the dry ingredients, the flour, then some more moisture, then flour, then moisture, ending with flour. So we want all of the dry ingredients mixed together so that it mixes in evenly and incorporates into the batter. And I forgot to grab a bowl. So to my separate bowl, I'm going to add a cup of my flour blend. If you haven't had a chance to watch the flour blend episode, that is also available on YouTube. I use a mixture of rice flour, tapioca starch, and arrowroot powder. And to that, I'm putting in a half a teaspoon of xanthan gum, and just a smidge, an eighth of a teaspoon of baking powder. No, baking soda. This is my baking soda, yeah. So the baking soda is what gives rise, but in a pound cake, we want it to be fairly dense, so we don't really need a lot of rise, so just a pinch of that in there. And I'm just gonna mix those together so they're ready to go. And the other wet ingredient that I'm using in my batter is, where did you go?
I never shoot from over here.
You don't. You threw me off.
I decided today I would.
The other wet ingredient that I'm going to be adding into my cake is actually a vanilla yogurt. I'm using the Silk Almond Vanilla Yogurt. I've made this recipe. I'm just stirring to make sure that I don't have any lumps of butter on the bottom here. I've made this recipe with plain almond milk yogurt, coconut yogurt, or a non-dairy sour cream. All of them work great. I do like the extra vanilla flavor of the vanilla yogurt. So I only need 1/3 of a cup of my vanilla yogurt, which is about half of one of these small containers. And I am gonna measure it out just because I sometimes get sidetracked when I'm mixing, as we all know. All right. So we're gonna start with part of the flour, then add some yogurt, flour, yogurt. I do it in about 3 parts of flour. We wanna start with flour and end with flour. So about 1/3 of the flour in, and then mix. And then once I see most of the streaks of flour are mixed in, I'll add about half of my yogurt. Same, as soon as that's pretty well mixed in, I'm gonna add in some more flour, about half of the remainder. Did you see that? It was a fly. Flew right into my eye. Yeah, how rude. And then the rest of my yogurt. And the rest of the flour. And once that is all mixed together, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Vanilla is one of those things where my theory is if some is good, more is better. All right, all mixed together. Scrape down here. Make sure everything's incorporated. And then I'm going to stir in my peaches. Today I'm using frozen peaches. We're on the verge of peach season. The neighbors' peach trees have tons of fruit, but not quite ripe. So I'm a little early, but it's one of my favorites, so we're making it. I have frozen peaches that I've diced. I've made this with fresh peaches. Blueberries is also really yummy. And I'm just going to stir those in. Until they're all coated in yummy batter. And I'm ready to pour it into my pan. Just in time too, because my oven just told me it was ready. Try to get, there we go, that angle so you can see what I'm doing here. Trying to figure out where you're going to be with the camera is like trying, when I was first learning to teach and you had to learn to read upside down when you're helping kids. Same kind of a skill. I got to figure out where you're going to.
I never thought you had to read upside down.
Oh yeah. Not only do you have to read upside down, but you have to read kid handwriting and kid spelling. Which isn't really that hard for me because mine's pretty bad. Okay. Peachy yummy goodness ready to go in the oven. Little chunks of peach peeking out there. In it goes for a whole hour. All right, see you when the timer goes off. Okay, the timer's gone off. I'm ready to pull my cake out of the oven.
Yum.
All right, and this is why I love parchment paper. Let's do a little unveiling here. Beautiful. Pan out of the way. All right, and while that cools, I'm just gonna mix up a quick glaze for the top. I have about half a cup of powdered sugar here. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of non-dairy milk. I'm using Oatly and my new prep table because it's a little bit bigger than my other one. I'm just gonna mix that up until it's glazed. That looks like a nice runny glaze. Crumbs. Ta-da! This cake is sweet enough, it really does not need this glaze, but it is kind of pretty. And I would let it cool for probably a good 10 minutes before glazing it. Otherwise it'll just absorb all of the sugar and you won't see any of that glaze on top. There it is. Gluten-free, dairy-free peach pound cake, just in time for summer. Don't forget to, oh, do I need to cut it open and take a bite?
Probably cut it open.
All right.
People
But
wanna
it's so
see-
pretty.
I know.
Got a nice little peach there. Still one of my favorites.
Okay, now you can say it.
Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.